60 years of Walt Disney Imagineering is pleased to present Leave 'em Laughing. And we hope we do. Please welcome your host, Imagineer Dave Fisher.
Don't you people know it's 4:30 on the last day? Oh my goodness. This is incredible. I love it. You must think we're going to make you laugh. Well, we've got quite a cast of characters here who we hope will do just that. Thank you for coming to Leave 'em Laughing, and thank you for sticking with us all day today for this 60th celebration of Walt Disney Imagineering. Anybody been down to the Journey into Imagineering pavilion down there? Now, the funny thing was this year is it was a bit of a challenge for us because we're in a tweener year with our projects. We opened a lot of stuff last year, as you know. Anybody been to Cars Land? New Fantasyland, Magic Kingdom. And we're just now ramping up on some new projects. It's just too early to talk about them. So we thought, what better way for Parks and Resorts to show itself this year than give you 60 years of Imagineering. So we hope you enjoyed the pavilion. We also had some bloggers online who were saying, you know what, they're using reverse psychology on us. We kept telling everybody we're not announcing anything, and they thought, well, that means they're going to announce something. So we thought instead of doing Leave 'em Laughing right now, we'd tell you about all the projects that were, no. But the show, I'm by the way, in story development at Walt Disney Imagineering. I'm a show writer. And I work with a bunch of talented people, more than 1,500 of them. We're going to have 4 of them come out in just a moment and hopefully leave you laughing. But it's quite an honor to be an Imagineer, to be able to entertain you people. And one of the great things about the Journey into Imagineering Journey into Imagineering Pavilion is that hopefully you had a great chance to meet us and learn what we do. But one of the great things we get to do is actually meet you as well. So thank you. We applaud you for the honor of being able to meet you this weekend. So let's get started. I'm going to get comfortable here, and I'm going to bring on these guys. So first of all, guy's going to be sitting next to me, and we'll get into more of this later. But I'd like to welcome another story development guy, Kevin Rafferty.
Welcome to the North Griffin Show. All right. Cut the commercial.
Let's see if I remember who goes next. Oh, yes. Next up is a guy who, we'll talk more about these later, but a guy who started in animation and then came to Imagineering a little bit later on in his career, Mr. George Jorge Scribner. I feel like a wrestler. Please, front, go front. Hey, George.
Jorge, not George, Jorge.
Yeah. He'll tell you why in a few moments. Our 4th panelist, you probably know him very well. He again started as an animator. If you've ever seen that CalArts photo that has Brad Bird in it and John Lasseter, there's a frizzy-haired guy in it. He's in it too. Joel and Cicero.
Went on so long, I almost had to go back and use the restroom again.
Oh, good. People are laughing already.
Yeah, you're funny.
And finally, we thought we'd bring a little Florida to California because we have a little operation down there as well. And he's a visiting writer, and he's been working on a number of projects for us. And he's going to tell you about some things that he's been doing down in Florida. Welcome, Jason Sorrell. So we're going to talk a lot about stuff you've heard but never listened to. Because we really try and be funny. And we try and be funny not only with the words we do, but the music and the gags and everything else. But before we get into that, let's meet each of our panelists.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, by the way, Jason, how'd you get your start?
I actually, I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the others.
You and I are kind of
You know, it also occurs to me that if you get a Mo haircut, we've got a free
Oh, that was a good one. Hold on.
We'll do anything for a joke. You know what kind of crowd
Stop it, nothing.
It's the end of the last day of D23. We figured most of you are either at Disneyland drunk or in a bankruptcy hearing.
Good one. Not so good.
So Jason, I know you've written books, you've done a kind of, just tell them, I think they know who you are, but.
I actually got my start in live entertainment as a writer and director, and over the years wound up racking up enough credits to finally get hired by Walt Disney Imagineering. But most of my career it's been evenly divided between live entertainment and attractions, and it's been amazing.
Excellent. Now the next four guys you're going to introduce to, two of them came out of animation.
Wait.
No, we got
four?
Jason, but there's four of us.
But you said the next
four guys.
The next four, which is
That's where you're right.
Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm going to include myself in this.
Okay.
He wasn't an accountant very
Two
well.
of these, now you know I went now.
Once I asked my accountant a question once, and he goes, "Look, George, just keep drawing. I'll take care of it."
And that's why you're so broke.
And that's why I'm broke, and I'm wearing a 5-year-old shirt.
Excellent. So, two of the guys up here came out of animation. You two. And the other two guys, the California writers, one was a dishwasher and one was a sweeper. That's how you get to be a writer. Joe, where'd you come from?
My mother's womb.
Thank you.
God love her.
Anybody bring a rim shot?
Okay, no, I think that one deserves
You got
You know, I was one of those crazy kids that just grew up wanting to draw Disney characters and be a cartoonist. I mean, as long as I can remember, that's all I wanted to do.
Where'd you grow up?
In Burbank, California, in the shadows of the Disney studio.
Yeah.
There it was. And then, as you said, I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go to Cal Arts and meet some pretty talented people. Like you said, Lasseter and Brad Bird and John Musker and Jerry Rizzo. I kind of feel like an underachiever when I think about what they did.
Underachiever, he heads up one of the portfolios of Walt Disney Imagineering.
It's all relative in life. Anyway, so, you know, all I wanted to do was draw funny pictures, and got to do that for a while in animation and through a series of circumstances, mostly because George didn't like me working on Oliver and Company, and he kicked me out, and I ended up across the street. No, not really.
You never showered.
Actually, I did my, George, you know, my swan song in animation was One Scene for You in Oliver and Company. Yeah.
Which one was it, Jimmy?
The one you
The hot
cut.
dog vendor with the gum on his foot.
Hey, you're right. I did cut it.
That's right. And I'll never forget you for that. And then I moved over to Imagineering. The rest is history, as they say.
Okay, this is history. Excellent. And you don't do anything for Imagineering. You don't draw anymore, right?
No, that's
He draws great. He's great.
He's now what we call a
creative
executive creative.
And I'm in charge of cruise ships and Hong Kong. Yeah, great. You love that Disney Cruise Line. Wow, it's great. Somebody
Hong Kong Disneyland?
Hong Kong Disneyland too. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
All right. You bet. You bet.
Yeah. George.
I did love that scene. I'm sorry.
I was born and raised in Panama, in the Republic of Panama.
So he'll be breaking out in Spanish a couple of times. soon.
Ahora amigos, si hablan español, qué bueno.
There you go.
I had gone to school in the States, went back to Panama, was directing commercials, McDonald's in Spanish. Dos tortas de cebolla, lechuga. It was great. And,
3 people just left me.
I'm actually Panamanian and American, so I read an article that Disney was looking for animators, and I sent them a portfolio. And they sent me a nice letter back saying, "No, thank you very much. We'll call security if you show up." I decided I would keep trying. I moved to Los Angeles. I finally got into animation. I just kept submitting portfolios and making a real nuisance of myself. And I directed theater and was given the opportunity to direct Oliver and Company.
Actually directed one.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Which by the way, is going to be on Blu-ray real soon. That's why George is here, to promote his Blu-ray. And he's also been, you know, you came over to Imagineering after that, and he has been pitching us on an Oliver and Company attraction ever since.
These parks, they're missing the Oliver and Company subway ride. Every meeting I'm in, thank you very much. Get those names. I love those people.
They kept Joe Cena.
He does in-home appearances, by the way.
So I directed Oliver and Company, Prince and the Pauper, then became a story person on Lion King, Dinosaur, Fantasia Continued. Worked with Roy Disney, worked with some really extraordinary people. I always felt they made my own work better as an animator and as a director.
And then you went where all great animators like Mark Davis, Expo, you went where they all went.
I moved to Imagineering about 10 years ago and directed animated projects.
I thought you were going to say you went to the Tama Center to
Well, I had to do that first, and then I went to Imagineering. I felt great once I got to Imagineering. Going to the Tama Center. And I directed animated projects, and that's where I am now. I directed Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is in Florida. I love you, man. I love you. Drawn Animation, which is here at California Adventure. I'm really, really very proud of the boat ride at Epcot, the Mexico boat ride. Los Tres Caballeros. That was a joy to work on. I'm sorry, that was a joy to work on. It was animated by Eric Goldberg.
So, George.
I'm not. Okay, anyway, so I'm very happy to be at Imagineering, and this is what I do all day. I draw.
So every once in a while, we're going to go to his pad and see what he's doodling on.
My swinging bachelor pad.
So after this, everybody to George's pad.
Okay, let's go.
All right, that's the first of many puns. Get used to them. Because we have the king of Disney puns here, Kevin Rafferty. Now, George has just taken all the credit for Mickey's PhilharMagic, but the idea itself and the script, there you go. Start at Plaza Inn.
Start at Plaza Inn.
I'm
Wow.
going to interject one more thing. Kevin Rafferty, Dave Fisher, 35 years with the Disney Company this year.
This week, guys. So Plaza Inn, I was a dishwasher. From there, I went to Club 33, and from there, I went to Imagineering.
Met my brother.
Met your brother. Worked with his brother Don. Went to Imagineering in 1978. I actually took a cut and pay going up there because I got a very level position.
That's non-union.
Yeah, and since then, I've worked on a lot of projects all over the world. I've worked, PhilharMagic with George and Test Track and
Toy Story Midway
Toy Story
Media.
Midway Media and all of I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Vision 3D and Finding Nemo Sub Voyage and I don't know, a lot.
Yeah.
35 years worth of fun.
Okay, so there they are. I'm getting a text. Run! Oh my God, look how much time we stopped. No, let's get started. Okay, so we want to start out by actually, humor wasn't always a part of the Disney parks way back when. Walt was very serious about it. You remember the Jungle Cruise was not the funny place that it is today. In fact, it didn't become the funny place that it is today until the early 1960s when a certain gentleman came over from animation. And, Jason, you want to take up the story with Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, actually, Mark Davis had just wrapped up work on 101 Dalmatians, and he was kind of in between projects. He was going to move forward with a project of his own called Chanticleer, which didn't get off the ground, so he was looking for things to do, and Walton said, Mark, why don't you go down to Disneyland? It's been up and running for about 6 years now, but take a look at it and come back and let me know what you think. And Disneyland by then was already a runaway success, but it wasn't exactly a laugh riot, and that's what Mark reported back to Walt. He said, I loved it, but one of the things that was missing is one of the key ingredients in our animated shorts and our animated features, and that's humor. And then Walt said, well, see what you can do with it. And that's where we got gags like what you see here with the Jungle Cruise and some of the gags that were added to the Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland. And Joe, you know a lot about Mark's early work.
Do we have more pictures? So, and I think both George and I both have this in common and why we admire Mark, and everybody admires Mark. It was his ability, and I think all the attractions that his hand touched speak to this, to imbue an animatronic figure, or with very limited animation. In fact, Mark always talked about the animation was just the icing on the cake. It was all about understanding how to stage a character and the quick read. Because in animation, where Mark came from, and our training, it's all about 1/24th of a second. You got to figure out how to, what's the best pose that's going to communicate whatever the emotion is or that story point is, and in these rides, especially more the older rides where we have a conveyance system that just continues without stopping or starting. Nowadays we have a lot more sophisticated ride systems that allow us to do that. But there, in fact, they always talked about the billboard technique. The billboard technique, a lot of the old guys said, was about if you're driving down the freeway at 60 miles an hour, imagine a billboard and how quickly you have to communicate to people what's on that billboard, because you have just seconds. And they were masters, and even to this day, you don't need any animation to get that.
He's pointing at the people in the front row.
Right here. Those guys there. You don't need any animation. You are awesome. You are. Yeah, but now he's even better.
Oh my God! Look at his body language. It's incredible.
No, so I think with Mark and some of the other filmmakers, animators who came from that medium, learned was the ability to communicate things quickly. And in Mark's case, how to really find that funny moment.
And it came out of years and years of having done shorts and animated projects where that was, you were putting up storyboards. Is this on? Is this monitor on yet? Or not yet? Not drawing?
No, you draw something.
Will it show up?
Let's take a peek at George's electronic
show up yet,
drawing pad.
No.
No, it's right there.
Okay, well I can start.
Can't you see it, folks?
It's there.
Do you see it?
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Hey, what an expert.
So it was the difference between, here was a gag that I had come up with where Donald was on top of Mount Vesuvius, and Vesuvius goes off and burns him with a hot dog in his hand. And he goes up there to Mount Vesuvius to make a charred hot dog. Well, it doesn't read from the front. The master of somebody like Mark Davis was understanding that a gag reads from the side, that things read in profile. And these guys were masters at it. I mean, like to Joe's point, it had to read really, really, really quickly for the gag to pay off.
Especially since, we're all it's about the brevity of storytelling on our attractions. We could have a 4-minute, a 5-minute, and an 8-minute attraction, so you have to cram as much in there as you possibly can.
Including hot dogs and fire.
Including hot dogs and fire.
So is that like Etch-a-Sketch now? You just
shake it.
Yeah, I just shake it because it's incredible.
Now with the Jungle Cruise, though, we know that Jungle Cruise has these moments that just read like the Lost Safari. That's getting the point in the end. But that brings up the other part of the Jungle Cruise, and that is, where did that script come from? When did it get funny? And any of you guys know?
My question now is,
There's been some debate.
Go, because every time I ride the Jungle Cruise, I don't know what they're saying half the time, because they're honoring our tradition of ad-libbing over there. My first job at Disney was at the Jungle Cruise. I was 19 years old, and I got more. He was 19!
You look so good.
One day he had hair. I wanted to point out one last thing about Mark Davis, though. You also see the tam o' shanter tradition in his work. Pirates of the Caribbean, they're drinking. Haunted Mansion, they're up in the chandelier.
They're drinking.
Country Bear Jamboree, they're drinking or singing about drinking. All in salute to the tam o' shanter free martini lunch.
Good thing we had.
Which I wouldn't know anything about, by the way.
So back to the
Wait,
script.
by the way, you guys don't know the Tam o' Shanter was a restaurant in Glendale, not too far.
This audience knows the
Yeah,
Tam.
they know the Tam o' Shanter.
We're all going there afterwards.
That's
so
it. We'll buy you each a martini if you join us.
Still there.
So the script is. The script. You want to go back to the script?
Yeah, go ahead. You know this.
Well, I was yeah, I know. We're not sure when it turned humorous. We do know that there was a story. We got an email this week, didn't we? You want to talk about the email?
Yeah, the email. Apparently, the story was that Walt visited the Jungle Cruise in the late 50s, right?
This was like 1956 or 57, according to this.
Right. And one of the Jungle Cruise skippers suggested to Walt that he punch up the humor on the attraction, right? And so we did a little research on that. And what did you find out from the archives?
I found it wasn't true.
Yeah, it wasn't true.
Okay, yeah. So we figure, we think that the humor came in at about the same time that Mark did all of his gags, and that's when it turned into the laugh fest, well, the joke fest, the pun fest that it is today. We've also had to take the Jungle Cruise to other countries. And Kevin and I worked on Hong Kong Disneyland, which was just a blast working on the Jungle Cruise over there. It's okay. And we worked with a couple of writers, one in Mandarin and one in Cantonese, to work on the jokes, because obviously the jokes that we do may be a little bit different over there. You want to pick up the story here about the Mandarin in particular?
Well, I just wanted to say that you can't, over in Hong Kong, you can't say it's okay to take the elephant's picture because he has his trunks on. It doesn't make any sense.
The pun doesn't work.
Yeah, so we had to, work in a variety of languages, a variety of quick read sight gags and things like that. And
but the one gag we found that worked, that stayed in the script, and it seems to work in any language, is your opportunity to leave your mother-in-law behind.
global humor in any language.
To go to Russian, French, Mandarin. We love those mother-in-laws. Okay, so where are we? We're on Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, and Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of a funny thing too, because it's this new attraction that's based on these movies that star Johnny Depp. Just ask any kid, right? Somebody who had the opportunity to actually create an attraction based on the Pirates of the Caribbean movies is sitting down here. It's down in Florida, Disney's Hollywood Studios. Anybody been on it? And he actually got a chance to work with the Johnny Depp. Jason?
Yeah, that was easily one of the highlights of my career. The challenge there was, you're trying to replicate the Captain Jack Sparrow character, and unlike in the attraction where he's represented as an audio-animatronics figure, this was going to be Johnny as Captain Jack as a filmed image. So we really had to work hard to come up with a script that would feel like it was from the world of the films. And one of the things that was interesting was that he actually, because we had one meeting where we all got really scared because they said, Johnny's lawyer called and he's rewriting the script, and we had no idea what that meant. I was ready to have myself committed because I didn't, I'm like, okay, my career's over, Johnny Depp hates what I'm doing, and that's going to be it. But when we got to the set, he had just little tiny little wordsmithing changes, just little touches of Captain Jack here and there. And I just found him to be incredibly collaborative, and one of the highlights of my career was standing behind the set with Johnny Depp, and then as the voice of the Talking Skull, we had James Arnold Taylor, who's a great improv comic. Clone Wars fans, I see. And it just, the opportunity to sit back there improvising with him, coming up with material. But he kind of had his revenge, though, because we found out after the attraction opened, we have two entrances for Captain Jack that are variable depending on which show you see. And in one of them, he's chasing the redhead up the steps from below decks, and he kind of whispers something into her ear, and she belts him one, just like we're accustomed to seeing Captain Jack get slapped.
Based on a Mark Davis drawing, probably.
Exactly.
Probably. No, you're right.
What we found out later was he actually said something audible, and we're like, oh, okay, that's fine. He came up with his own improv. My original line was, I can see why they wants the redhead, which is a callback to the attraction. She smacks him.
Good line.
But he said his own line, and we found out later that it was actually slang for something that you would not want to have happen in a Disney park.
So the slap is for real.
So we all get called into a meeting and we find out what this means, and we're all like, that little scamp. That little owner of a Caribbean island of his own scamp. So we actually had to go in and turn down the volume so it's just like he's coming in muttering something, which works just as well because the suggestion is clearly he's saying something suggestive. So the slap still works, but he tried to have a little fun with us just like he did with the studio. But if you see it, I think it really turned out well. He did a great job bringing Captain Jack to life. The other thing I learned from it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, at Disney, we pride ourselves on coming up with timeless humor and things that keep you in the story, that are true to the character. My favorite line in that show is when, at the end of it, the guests have prevailed, everyone's is made a pirate, a member of the Black Pearl. He goes, congratulations, mates, you're all pirates. Come back in 8 minutes and we'll do it all over again. Right? And it's funny because like I was so happy with that, and then I'm like, but does that break the fourth wall? Does it take people out of the show? And the way I rationalized it with myself is this guy is so drunk out of his gourd 99% of the time. We don't know what he means, and it would work on both levels.
So from Pirates, we went to the Haunted Mansion. Now, I'll go back to Jason on this one, because this one had an interesting story, because this is two attractions in one.
I'm sorry, I thought you were doing the count thing. I got excited. Where did you get that? I used one of these. I'm sorry, David.
It was two attractions in one.
It's like, I'm sorry, that's all the time we have. Good night, everybody. Yeah, the interesting thing about Haunted Mansion was, the one thing about Haunted Mansion is people always say Pirates of the Caribbean was the last attraction that Walt personally supervised. But if you look at the footage from Disneyland's 10th anniversary show, Walt was well aware of a lot of what was being developed for the mansion, and like everything else, he had a singular vision for it. But we lost Walt in the middle of development for the Haunted Mansion, and after that, two competing camps kind of arose in terms of what the direction it should take. One camp, led by Mark Davis, felt that it should be a funnier experience. They said, okay, it's called the Haunted Mansion. Our guests are going to be nervous enough as it is, especially with young kids, so we need to lighten it up and make it funny. The other camp, led by Claude Coates, felt the exact opposite. It's called the Haunted Mansion. People are going to expect to be scared. We need to make it scarier, more ominous. And there was a little bit of a creative tug of war between them throughout the development of the attraction. And I think what ultimately opened really reflects the spirit of both of them, I think.
Great stuff. So, are you drawing anything, George?
I'm waiting for my cue.
You can draw anytime you want. Now, I see something interesting.
Any requests?
He'll draw for whatever. So then, moving through the 60s into the 70s, we had the World of Motion, getting into the 80s, which introduced another animator to our stable, and that was Ward Kimball. And then the next footage we have, we were debating whether to cut this out. Why don't we just run that?
Oh no, not again.
Yeah.
Just as I thought. Somehow, this silly bird trips the emergency system every time he comes in. And I think he knows the laugh's on us.
Anybody?
Oh, that was hysterical.
That bird had just come from lunch at the Tam O'Shanter.
What attraction is that from? Mission to Mars, right. So we were going to cut it out because we really didn't have anything funny, and somebody said, well, the footage is funny itself, so we left it in. Okay, moving on. Wrong. Yeah.
That's what took flight, Dave.
Yeah. So moving on to the Michael Eisner years.
Nothing funny about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit it, hit it.
Please address your letters to Robert Iger.
One of the things that started to enter the Disney parks during the Michael Eisner era was celebrities like this one.
Hey, look! I'm a cartoon! Hey, Walt, just how far can you go with this?
You can do anything that he can draw.
Hey, animator, what do you say we have some fun, huh?
All right, let's go.
I could be anything. I could be just a tiny person. Or make my eyes really big. Or maybe have legs that are real long. I could even be your Walt the Cronkite.
Now hold on there.
Can I do this? I'm happy. I'm grumpy. I'm talking. Hi, everybody. I'm a carpet symbol.
Hold it. Are you fellas finished?
I always wanted to do that.
Funny. Okay, let's cut to George's pad.
You always think you're really coming up with an original gag. Some of these, is this visible?
It's up there.
So I was directing Tony Anselmo, the voice of Donald Duck. We were doing a session, and I was describing this gag of Donald Duck carrying a bunch of luggage and a crab on his tail. And we thought it was hilarious. And Tony Anselmo looks and goes, "Oh yeah, that's from 1941. That crab was in a short
Hey, thanks, Tony.
So you think you're really, really clever. It's all been
Nothing new under the
It's
sun.
all been done before.
Yeah. Okay, so getting back to the celebrities of the Michael Eisner era, none of us actually did Back to Neverland, although a classmate of yours did.
Jerry Reese.
Jerry Reese.
But, so we started working with all these TV actors. You remember Cranium Command? But we kind of had this habit as we got to the 90s of working with one particular TV show. Let's start with this clip. See if you know where this is from.
See? We discovered fire! And we're really on our way!
So that's Helen's Energy Adventure, and that, of course, is Michael Richards, who played Kramer. So fast forward a few years, and we somehow lured Jerry Seinfeld into, what cruise ship, right?
Yeah, I was working for the Imagineering Creative Entertainment at the time, and I wrote the script for the christening of Joe's Fantasy. And by fantasy, I mean...
What about the ship?
No, but we knew going in that the ship was going to be christened in New York, and it was important actually to Bob Iger to make the whole thing a celebration of New York, home of the grand age of the ocean liner. So we wanted to create an experience that had virtually all New York talent. We got Neil Patrick Harris to host the show, you know, beloved host of the Tonys. Neil's mother is the and in one of the first meetings I said, wouldn't it be great if we could get Jerry Seinfeld to come out and do a set? And everyone thought there's no way, it's not going to happen, but I wrote him in, I wrote some sample material.
Gave him a call.
Pardon me?
Gave him a call. Said,
Yeah, I call it Jerry, baby.
Who's this? What kid? ¿Quién es esto?
But it was interesting because I think it registered with him that this was going to be a major New York moment, so he agreed to do it. But the point is, I took a leap and actually wrote the first 30 seconds for him. And I thought, well, it would be hysterical. He's the highest paid comedian on the planet. He plays sellout arenas, you know, every night of the year. And we've got him playing a cruise ship. And I don't know if you know much about the stand-up comedy business, but if you're appearing on a cruise ship, it's not exactly an indication that things are going well. So I wrote a little bit for him, and it turned out that he liked it. And again, one of the highlights of my career, it's just a stupid little thing, but I wrote the intro for Neil to say to him, and he said, I can only pray that the world of syndication is a tenth as kind to me as it has been to our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld theme comes up, Jerry comes up, and he comes out and he goes, I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Finally, I get a chance to see what the end of my career will be like! And then he looks around at Joe's gorgeous ship, and he goes, you know what, it isn't so bad.
Okay, so we've covered Jerry. We've covered Kramer. One of my favorite stories. Kevin has just written so many things, and probably another one of our favorites is It's Tough to Be a Bug. Look at him, Hopper. And he has a particular story about one of the bugs that appeared in the show. So Kevin, take it away.
So early on, Tom Fitzgerald and I decided to cast Jason Alexander as the acorn weevil. He's a little guy that flies in front of Chili, the Chilean tarantula.
It would be great if we had the footage, wouldn't it? We don't.
Probably.
We don't have those connections.
So there was a little misunderstanding. Jason came into our studio at Imagineering Studio A, and I was going to direct him. And he got into the booth, and we were sitting there at the console, and he said, okay, I've been trying out a couple voices for this character. How about something like this? And I wanted George Costanza. We got him because we wanted George Costanza, but we couldn't tell him that. So he said, no, Jason, that's not quite it. And he says, well, how about something in the lower range like this? And he said, no, that's not quite it. He said, how about something little Cockney kind of thing? Like, no, that's not quite it. And he went through like 12 more voices, and finally he got mad. He says, Kev, what is it? Exactly what is it that you want? And I said, that! And he said, George Costanza.
Hey, wait a minute, Dave. I think I'm getting a text. It's from Julia.
Oh,
Wondering when you're going to call.
Elaine, we haven't taken care of Elaine. Well, she's still busy. She's working.
She's getting any nomination.
Uh-oh, did I... anyway. So while we're on It's Tough to Be a Bug, sometimes the funniest things never appear on the screen. One of the things you don't see on It's Tough to Be a Bug was one of Kevin's favorite gags, right, Kevin?
Yeah. This is a story of, for those of you old enough to remember, there was a show on TV hosted by Jim Lang, The Dating Game. And there was a segment in It's Tough to Be a Bug called The Mating Game. And instead of the fake flowers on the set, there were real flowers on the set. And I was, right in the middle of pitching this idea to Michael Eisner. There was a couple of funny things to Michael Eisner, and I got to the point, the mating game sequence, and Bachelorette number 1 likes to hang around in old wood piles, the black widow spider. Bachelorette number 2, and it was a praying mantis, all these horrible bugs that do horrible things to you. And Flick said, our bachelor lives in Ant Island, and so there's a big introduction, and Flick the ant. And so Flick has his first question, and he says, so, Bachelorette number 1, we've had our first romantic interlude, what next? And she says, I bite your head off and suck your guts out. And Michael said, no, wait, no. No, we can't do that. And I said, why not, Michael? And he said, because an ant would not date a spider.
Talking animals.
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love how he zeroed in on that particular point. That's just absurd.
I'm amazing I didn't get that note during making Oliver and Company. A dog can't talk to a cat.
One thing directing you've had you.
I thought we'd be on the sequel, the 4th
A
version.
dog can talk to a giraffe.
My theory is, and I don't know if the rest of my panel agrees here, but logic has killed more great gags. Whenever I hear logic in a meeting, I get a rash. I have to leave the room, so big fan of logic.
All right, let's switch gears. While we're on Kevin, I thought if anything dragged here, we're actually moving pretty good, guys.
Yeah, you're awesome, man.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could read the Comedy Warehouse show script.
You guys remember the Comedy Warehouse? Wow.
Kevin wrote a song for the Comedy Warehouse. Kevin, hit it.
Well, I want to set it up a bit. I want to say, I want to set it up with, the show was about a family that went to Walt Disney World and all their encounters, and we had a cast that played different cast members. And one of the person that sang this song was an attraction host on Spaceship Earth. And with all due respect to my dear friend Richard Sherman, it is a song called Super Conscientious Friendly Disney World Employees. Okay, I see if I remember it. So the verse goes, I work up at that silver gulf while they call Spaceship Earth. One day a lady waiting there decided to give birth, and everyone around they were all so relieved because they'd all been waiting there since it was first conceived. Oh, super One more funny moment about that show is we also had our live cast perform audio animatronic characters. And so, Pirates of the Caribbean, we had pirates and we had a boat go by and they were singing, yo ho, yo ho. Okay, they're gone. How about this one? Hey there, Georgie girl. Show didn't last long, but boy.
Yeah, it's right here on page 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Another way that we can be very cute and clever is through nomenclature. Right?
Right.
And this dates back, if you've been through the Journey into Imagineering Pavilion, we have a little fun with Walt Disney with things. Walt had a tendency to say things. And Marty Sklar even had some fun. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, you might remember there was a shop at Disneyland called Rings and Things. And you're going, what a silly name for a shop. Rings and Things. Well, that was Marty and the Imagineers making a little fun of Walt and having a shop in that name. But fast forward to Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, right, where throw out some names from Blizzard Beach.
So Blizzard Beach, I mean, you know, the idea of a freak snowstorm in Florida and a ski resort and all that. So we had, you know, Summit Plummet, and we had Slush Gusher, and one of my favorites was, you know, they handed us a menu of things they wanted us to design. So we needed a snack shack. So because we had that story hook to hang our hat, our design hat on, that little snack shack became Abalunch. And of course, Abalunch inspired and informed the design. And so it was. So once you have that story, it informs every one of the gags and the names in the park and the attraction you're working on.
Which is a long way to get to our next slide, which is for a little mini golf course. Right next to that was worked on by Joe Lancicero,
And
Kevin Rafferty, and Robert Coltrane.
And it was so under the radar, no one knew what we were doing. The three of us just locked ourselves in the room and had fun. And that's the result of three crazy guys having fun. Well, and Kevin, tell the story. First, just getting the idea pitched and getting Marty to buy it.
Well, which story about when we were on the back end of the trailer and Marty walked by and we said, "Hey, we have an idea, that one?"
Yeah.
Guys, we spent at least 10 minutes rehearsing.
No, wait a minute. This has everything to do with nomenclature. Okay. So we grabbed him, Marty came by, we said, "We have this great idea for them." We told him the idea of the thing, and we said, "We're going to call it Christmas Cove." And Marty said, "No." And he just kept going. So then we pitched him the exact same idea, and we said, "We're going to call it Winter Summerland." He says, "That's great."
Sometimes the name, you know, sometimes it's the name. So we actually got a few slides on this one.
We did, and we had so much fun with and Kevin and involving myself, because what would Santa do in Florida? And then this whole idea, I think Kevin, was your idea of the elves and the Winnebagos.
Right, and it was they vacation in the off season, right? Where else would they go but Florida?
And this was a lot of fun with classic, Disney storytelling, with again, going back to Mark and all those guys, just having to set things up visually, and because there's no dialogue, there were some sound effects, and just so coming up with the basic idea, and then how many things you can riff on.
What happened when it only took you one stroke to get in the hole?
No, what happened?
What happened?
Yeah, the hole in one.
Oh yeah, hole in one. Yeah, that's right.
Holy smokes!
I think this was a Kevin gag. It would be funny to put a snowman in Florida.
Well, you know, Joe, the fun challenge of that was, you know, the way he designed all the holes, you and Robert, is they all had to be playable.
That's right.
Right? But everyone had to be a quick read
Small
but they all had to be playable. Yeah, like the little ribbon on the package was a little loop thing that went around and all that. So.
Are you going to draw something besides Donald Duck?
No, but I have a good story about.
All right.
Okay.
So I have another story about
We're going to go
my
back
school.
to the George.
This is very, very quick. Most of the work I do is animation-based and concept work. That's mostly what I do. So we thought a really funny idea for an attraction would be a live host combined with animation, and the live host would interview animated characters. We thought it was a screen. So the first guest was going to be the Beast. But the Beast had moved on. The Beast was now doing summer stock in New Hampshire. But the host was like, "Oh, come on, Beast. Like, could we throw some wolves at you? Could you eat some wolves? Come on, can we just tear them up? You know, I'm doing Shakespeare now. I'm doing Proust. I really, those are olden days. We're pitching this to Marty Sklar. We thought it was just the funniest thing. We were laughing. This is so
often
funny.
the case. It's
Which
funnier
is,
to us than anybody
we thought
else.
it was great. And the Beast is like, "You know what? I really don't want to do this anymore. You know, I'm going to be doing Follies next week. That was the past." At the end of the pitch, Marty Sklar goes, "This is the worst idea I've ever seen in my life. Start over. Okay, we'll start over." So you never know. You think you're hilarious, and you never know.
So let's go to an idea that actually made it.
Oh, excuse me.
I actually have a fun Donald Duck quick read bad pitch story.
Okay, you got.
This happens a lot.
You're deviating from the script, by the way.
I am deviating from the script in classic Jungle Cruise fashion. How many of you have been to Saratoga Springs Resort in Florida? Have you seen the Donald Duck with the water jug off by the... That's not the way that gag was originally supposed to go. One of our brilliant artists in Florida, Dave Minichello, and I had conceived a gag for the water play area where we wanted to have Donald Duck looking really angry, rising up and down on a column of spring water with the jug off to the side as though he went to go get the water, and it went off and got him. And you know, it's in my mind, and George, you can tell me, both of you can tell me if this is true. Classic cartoon gag, right? You know, he's on his back, and you know the thing.
Especially if the water's hitting his butt.
Exactly, which is the perfect setup for how this pitch did not go well. So we're sitting there pitching to Wing Chao, who's this brilliant architect, originally from China, who's been in our country for a long time and yet hasn't quite lost the accent. So we're sitting there, we're pitching our hearts out going, and Wing, he goes to get his fresh Saratoga Springs spring water, and it goes off and it hits him right in his behind, and he's rising up and down and he's furious, and the thing is off to the side, and you're just pitching our hearts out, and he's just sitting there staring at the storyboard. And dead silence after we're done. And he goes, no. No pole up a character but. The room is dead silent because it's filled with executives and they're just happy to let us hang. And he didn't say but, by the way. No pole up character but. And I look at Dave, I go, well, that's why he's upset.
So let's go to another place where there are no pulls up characters' butts. That would be Mickey's Toontown. So how many of you have heard this? The sound of silence. Still not going to hear it.
Calling Toon Unit 1. This is Toon Unit 1. Over. Be on the lookout for Roger Rabbit. Over. Roger! That's right. Roger. Roger!
This is Roger. Did somebody call me? Over.
Nobody called you. Over.
I know nobody called me over, but somebody called me Roger.
Roger!
See? I told you so.
You have reached the Toontown emergency phone line. If an anvil has been dropped on your foot, please dial 1 now. If your eyes have bugged out, dial 2. If you've been hit by a ton of bricks, dial 3. If you've been clobbered with a frying pan, please dial 4. If you've swallowed an ironing board, dial 5. If your lips are stuck to a vacuum cleaner, please dial 6 now. If you've ingested an excessive amount of hot sauce, dial 7. If you're caught in an electrical outlet, dial 8. If a safe has landed on your head and you're seeing birdies when you're supposed to see stars, dial 9. If nothing has happened to you, get off the phone! Your call will be answered in the order in which it was received. Have a nice day.
Yay! Well done. Joe is a creative director on Mickey's Toontown. I think that George, you worked on it. I worked on it. Kevin worked. Hey, something we all worked on.
Yeah.
Wasn't that great? So we had the police phone. We had all kinds of visual gags. There were some Roger Rabbit gags. Oh, that was good. There we go from Cartoon Spin.
What was the China shop? Is it getting any funnier than that? Pie in the face. Any funnier than that? Come on. Like you said earlier, a lot of this stuff is funnier to us. I remember sitting in the room when we came up with the idea of, we'll put a bull in the China shop. And we laughed hysterically. I don't think that was funny.
That's too logical, maybe. I don't know, a bull in a China shop?
And then on the other side of Toontown was where the characters lived. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. And Kevin, you worked on a little radio show.
Yeah, it was called the Toontown Radio Show. It was put a happy smile on your radio dial at WACKY Radio Toontown.
Yeah, we actually have we have a clip.
Oh, we have a clip? All right. Oh, is this my favorite?
Toontown Sports Report was brought to you by the Toontown Insurance Company. They cover any permanent injuries caused by hotfoots, explosions, falling off cliffs, TNT disguised as cigars, being run over by steamrollers, and smashing into brick walls disguised as tunnels. And I almost forgot, they also cover falling animals, safes, and yams.
WACKY, Wacky Radio, Toontown.
Having a last-minute dinner party, but your time is stretched to the limit? Well, unless your culinary skills are on a par with Flora, Fauna, or Merriweather, you'd best ring up the 3 nephews from Duckburg Catering Company.
3 nephews from Duckburg will help you with your supper if you don't have the time to fix a meal. They'll do all the cooking without you even looking, so call for a booking, what a deal! Your guests, they will love ya, they'll put you high above ya, their taste buds will shout out, ooh la la, ooh la la! So put on your favorite ducks, leave the cooking to the ducks, 3 nephews from Duckburg.
Yes, friends, it's so simple. And if you're in a hurry, don't worry. The 3 nephews from Duckburg Catering Company is fast and efficient. All you have to do is ring them up and say, 3 nephews, deliver an entire banquet and step on it.
Try Dewey and Dewey and Dewey's Ratatouille. Their Swedish meatballs really hit the spot, y'all. If it's catering you want, make your home a restaurant. 3 nephews from Duckburg.
You're tuned to Wacky Radio, WACKY, Mickey's Toontown.
People actually write this stuff.
You listen to it? We put this stuff.
Can you imagine getting paid to do this stuff?
What?
We get paid? Okay, so the voice menuing was mine. Yours was the radio show. You did the whole thing. Now we go to Mickey's Movie Barn.
That's right.
Here it is.
Yeah,
Mickey's Movie Barn.
Did you have a clip?
I have a clip. Let's play it.
Wow.
This was great fun. This was a gag that all had to read in silhouettes.
No problem here. Hey, daughter, get out of that projector. You're a monster. Hey, daughter, get out of there. The show's about to start. Quit goofing around. We got a show to do.
So George, how did you come up with the idea for this?
It is really good. That was great fun to work with. And that's a great example of the gag needed to read without any expression. It had to be in the body. There's a great Charlie Chaplin quote where he, I think, made the comment that you should be able to understand the attitude of a character without any dialogue. And so when we animate, that's the last thing we add is dialogue. So that's a perfect example of everything had to read in the silhouette of the character. And it's my pet theory that you cannot do too much damage to Donald Duck. So you can't. I've now directed him in 7 or 8 projects, and we have eviscerated, set him on fire, run him over. It's funny. He likes it too. He seems to bounce back.
So let's quickly run through some more character stuff. Here's some cruise line stuff.
This was all George. We had an opportunity to do we called it our stretching room. It's the main elevators in there, and it really doesn't. You really can't understand how funny it is because George had to make each gag work whether the elevator was going up or going down. So if you study what's going on here, in some cases, you'll see, for example, like imagine if.
It was like every gag was a reveal.
Yeah, so if you're coming down, setting up at a time, say, you see the crows, and there's peanuts there, and then the elevator goes down for it. How cute! It's Dumbo. Or the other way, when the elevator's going up, you go, there's Dumbo. How cute is he? Those peanuts. It's the crows.
This is the funny version of the Haunted Mansion elevator. Just a little funnier, hopefully.
Which leads to the rejects for the Stern characters.
This one. Yes. So, that kind of a signature element on these cruise ships are the Stern characters, which we started on the original ships on the Magic and the Wonder with. Actually, it was John Hench who did the first one. He did Goofy on the back of the Magic, and then we did Donald, of course, getting messed up as he often does on the Wonder. So when it came time to do the new ships, I wanted a classic Disney character in there because these ships have to last for a long time. And So I had a little gag session, and most of these gags that you're seeing here are George's. And actually, John Lasseter was saying, he goes, you know, it should be more of a cartoon gag. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, you know, something action, but so many of these would be very hard to realize physically.
Sorry, I'm stealing his thunder, but I just love setting this guy on fire. Sorry.
So what did we end up with? Keep going.
So the stern gags?
I don't think any of those. There we go.
So that's what we ended up, and actually it ended up having to be a little sweeter. The earlier ones that you saw were a bit silly, but and mostly because we took our name from the dream. And I believe if more than one or two people come up with the same idea simultaneously or within a couple days of each other, I think it's the right idea. It was funny out of these gag sessions. I think you came up with a variation on this. This is actually Chris Ronco, one of our great designers at Imaginary, came up with it. But like 3 or 4 people came up with the same idea of Mickey and the Brooms. I said, I better pay attention to that. So
we'd all been out the night before drinking.
That's right.
So I think we came up with the same.
So George did all that work, and we used somebody else's drawing.
So
I was in therapy for years. So.
The other drawing, when I got in the cruise ship,
where are you pointing?
To that one there. Again, poor Donald getting abused, but often we come up with a story for these attractions or something, and then we build the thing. Well, it just so happened that I inherited this slide that they were going to do on the upper deck, and it was a very cool slide, but it's like, you know, anybody could do that slide. Not anybody, because we did some really cool, innovative things. It's kind of a roller coaster thing, and no one had a clear acrylic slide on the top of the ship. I said, it needs something funny. It needs a good name, whatever. So, of course, my first thing to do is pick up the phone and call Kevin Rafferty. Kevin, we're doing the slide. So, of course, the next day, I get 25 names, and the funny one being, or they're all funny.
The Aqueduct.
So, just to show, and so working backwards, then we started going, Aqueduct. So Donald Duck, of course, and then we came up with this whole backstory that the nephews built the slide, and if you've been on the slide, we have a little storyboard there that explains the whole thing. And then we just wanted to add one more little funny touch, and what's funnier than the duck, who was supposedly in the slide there, he gets launched out and actually gets stuck in the side of the funnel, and it's a complete throwaway. If you're on the ship, anybody here been on the Dream? You got to look for it, but he's there. The duck butt is stuck in the side of the funnel.
Which is just like Mickey's PhilharMagic, so we like doing that to Don.
Well, in fact, we stole the mold from Mickey.
We like that almost as much as lighting him on fire, which is what George has done yet again.
Okay.
That's all I do.
What George has said.
George.
It's my entire career.
There it is.
When in doubt, light him on fire.
I love this character.
So I heard the name John Lasseter, which has led to some great new attractions that we've been working on, our partnership with Pixar. None more so than Toy Story Midway Mania. And as you know, one of the best audio animatronics figures we've ever created is Mr. Potato Head, voiced by a certain
Don Rickles.
Take it away. We've got some audio here, but set it up, Kevin.
Well, we spent 33 hours in the studio with Don Rickles. Not all at the same time, at different times, but man, he was really a kick. And he came right to Imagineering. I'll never forget, he pulled out in front of Imagineering, and it was my job to go out and meet him and get in the limousine to drive around. So I walked out the front door, and the window went down the limo, and it's his face. He said, "Get in." We've been great friends ever since, but out of 33 hours, we got some outtakes.
There we go.
Okay.
How about you, sir? Yes, you, in the Hawaiian shirt. What are you, a fire eater? How about you? Mommy, what is this? That's Rickles. That's all Rickles. The next 20 pages, you've got to get a dead mummy to sit in. Yes, you with the Hawaiian shirt. Get yourself a pineapple and a stick and get out of here. Yes, you. I had to laugh at that one myself. I make me laugh. I love that. Pineapple and a stick and get that.
The hardest one will be these are piece of cake.
Really? Okay, great. This last time I went home, I couldn't. I was, why are you talking like that? Why? I said, 2 potatoes, 7 potatoes, 6 potatoes, 4. She says, weren't you doing because of you? No, 1 potato, 2 potatoes, 3 it's in 6 something. I think that's funny. Hey, you guy in the booth, did you think that's funny? Oh. They're like robots. They don't know what they're doing. Okay, just let them sit in the back of the room. You think it's funny, Charlie? Yeah. Especially you, sir. What'd you do? Mug a box of crayons?
The kids are going to be staring at this.
I'm laughing at the stuff. I think it's funny. I don't want to be in the park when they're staring at us. Oh, it's got to hide behind a tree and say, it's Rob. He's the one that kept saying the vial in the tree. I'm laughing at this. I can't believe it. You're a funny guy. Did you ever do stand-up? Well, you got a good delivery. He does. I like you better than Kevin. I really do.
So there's Don Rickles. One of the things we'd like to end here is jumping forward to another favorite of ours, which is Cars Land. It has an attraction called Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. And a couple of things here. One is a funny story about how one of the songs came to be.
Yeah. I was walking backstage before the Lamb was open with John Lasseter. He had some family members, and I wrote the theme song to Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Here we go, tractors, whip and whirl, make them trailers twist to that one. So he says, Kev, you gotta sing them your song, you gotta sing them your song. So I started singing the song, and I forgot the lyrics. And halfway through, I'm going, something, 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 and he just started cracking up. He goes, we gotta do that. We gotta have Mater do that. He forgets the lyrics. And so I flew.
I met that.
So the fun thing about it is, I flew to Omaha, Nebraska, into the studio, and said, just forget the lyrics, something, something, dadgum, whatever, just have fun with it. And we played the underscore of the track, and he just, at one take, it was hilarious.
Here it is.
Here it is.
There's some folks say that the highway's fine if the water's getting plate to plate. Man, I don't remember the words. Dadgum, 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 something, 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 something. Yeah, something, something, dadgum, dadgum, dadgum. Cares will fade away. Just leave the dadgum, 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 dadgum. Some, dadgum, dadgum. Welcome to Radiator Springs. Welcome to Radiator Springs. Take it, girl. Welcome to Radiator Springs.
And as I recall, Kevin, there was also a version in which he really did mess up the words, and we can't play that one.
That's not true, no.
Yeah, not for this audience.
Well,
And then finally,
we could meet them all at Tama Shanter.
Martini.
And then finally, there was something that Kevin has always wanted to do, which was to actually have a joke button.
Oh, yeah. I actually talked Disneyland Operations into, on the operating console, to have a joke button. First time ever, where if load took a little bit longer on Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, they could hit the button and Mater would say a joke. And so I took 2 pages worth of jokes up to Omaha, and he nailed all the jokes.
Here we go.
So,
One of them tractors just got a letter from his girlfriend. I didn't have the heart to tell him it was a John Deere letter. What would you call my friend Finn McMissile if he lifted weights for a long time? Finn McMuscle. What do you get when the Pokemobile's tailpipe backfires? Holy smokes! One time I wasn't paying attention and crashed right into Sally's motel. You know what happened? I got a concussion. I'm really laughing at that.
There were people actually mouthing the joke.
Yeah.
What is it with you people? In the immortal words of William Shatner, get a life. Sorry. We love you. So guys, we're almost out of time. Got anything else you want to say? Make them laugh. Excellent. You got to go to the bathroom.
And I gotta go to the bathroom. Anybody else?
Anybody else got to go to the bathroom? Well, anyway, so we are out of time. We hope we've entertained you. We hope we've made you laugh just a little bit. Give great journey into Imagineering. We'll see you down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of